One more thing, Wall Street. Wall Street. Last September, they took our country hostage, and they said, pay us ransom of $750 billion or we'll shut the place down. $750 billion. And they got it. And this guy from New Hartford, he only voted for one bailout. Guess which one? Wall Street. Why? Go to opensecrets.org. They've given him $500,000. They've given him $500,000. Okay, I hope I haven't depressed you. Well, so then the question is, what can I do? What can we do that this guy from New Hartford hasn't done or won't do? Well, the first thing is Democrats, we know we have an option. We have a choice. We can do something or we can do nothing. And as Democrats, we believe in solving problems. And we say, let's do something. My favorite example is Tom Harkin in the Americans with Disabilities Act. And most of you probably know that Tom's brother was deaf. And Tom said, if he can have reasonable accommodations, he can be as productive a citizen as the rest of us. And Tom Harkin spent 7 years of his life working to pass the Americans with Disabilities Act through the Congress, and it was signed by the first President Bush. And I have to tell you, from my perspective, next to the Civil Rights Act, it was the most important piece of legislation we've ever passed. I also have to tell you, as a parent, I'm personally thankful. And Rachel from the Iowa City Press-Citizen is a former co-worker of my daughter Kate and a roommate. And Katie was born without a right arm. And when Katie went to Iowa State, because of Tom Harkin and the Americans with Disabilities Act, every building at Iowa State was accessible to her. Now, those of you that met Kate know Kate. She's a very determined young woman. She would have probably got a degree in journalism anyhow, but because of Tom Harkin and the American Disability Act, her life on campus was easier. Now, the other side, you can do nothing. And Harry Truman nailed the Republicans in 1948 when he called them the do-nothing party. Okay? Things haven't changed. The only thing in modern times, people shorten their names. So now they're just the party of no. No ideas, no solutions, no compromises, no. So we have a choice between doing something or doing nothing. And let me talk to you lastly about doing something. There's 3 things that I want to do as your U.S. Senator. And I call those 3 things Fiegenomics. Combination of Fiegens and economics. The first thing is full employment, a job for everybody that wants to work. The second thing is health care for everyone. And the third thing is I want to ban financial piracy. And you go, this one's for you, Senator Balcom. Let me tell you about the 3 of them from my perspective very quickly. First one is full employment. One of my heroes growing up was Hubert Humphrey. And the last thing he did before he died was he sponsored a law called the Humphrey-Hawkins Full Employment Act. And it was signed by President Carter after his death. It required the federal government to consider jobs and the creation of jobs in everything that it did, from appropriations to trade agreements. When's the last time you heard anybody in Washington talk about jobs? We need to reauthorize the Humphrey-Hawkins Full Employment Act. As part of that, we need to also look at a second stimulus bill. The first one's holding us right here, but it's not going to bring us back. The second thing we need to look at is our trade agreements, especially with China, And the third thing is, if necessary, I would vote to reauthorize the Civilian Conservation Corps. As you look around Iowa and you look around the country, we have lots of historic buildings that have fallen in disrepair. We've got lots of national parks that have been ignored for the last 50 years. If we need to create the jobs to put young people to work, what better way than to restore our Iowa historic landmarks, our heritage, and our national parks? My second plank, health care for everyone, it's really a no-brainer as a Democrat. That's how the Democrats took control of Congress in 2006, increased their majorities in 2008, and every presidential candidate that came through Johnson County or Cedar County said, I'm for health care for everybody. We have to keep that promise to America. Senator Harkin has promised to have a bill on the president's desk by Christmas. I hope so. I hope so. If he doesn't, and if the Republicans are able to stall, including this guy, I'll pick up the ball when I get there in January 2011. We will have health care for everybody in America, including a public option. The last plank of Fiegenomics is to ban financial piracy. And when I talk about financial piracy, I talk about it on a personal level and on a national level. And let me give you two examples on a personal level. When I took my youngest daughter back to college, when she's going through the sign-up and pick up her books, there's a guy sitting over here, a little table with 2-liter bottles of Pepsi. He works for a credit card company. He will give her a credit card and a free 2-liter bottle of pop. The credit card has a $10,000 limit, and she has no job. Guess where that's going to end? She's going to miss a payment, and then they're going to try and ruin her life. That's financial piracy. We have to stop that. The second example of personal financial piracy are the subprime mortgages. There are a lot of young couples who tried to get into their first home, got in, signed up for one of these bad mortgages. And there's testimony coming out of Congress right now that the mortgage broker was paid a bonus if they signed them up for a more expensive mortgage. The examples are, young couple qualify for a 6% mortgage. If the broker can talk them into a sliding rate mortgage or one of these adjustable ones that goes to 9%, the broker either got a $1,500 or a $3,000 bonus. That's wrong. That's financial piracy. We have to ban that. And I want to say right now, this guy is against those young couples hanging on to their homes and rewriting their mortgages. I think we should allow those young couples that got subprime mortgages to rewrite them. And I do want to shout out Tom Miller, our Attorney General. He sued Countrywide. And as part of his lawsuit, Countrywide agreed to rewrite the crooked mortgages that they sold in Iowa. That's a good first step. When I talk about financial piracy on a national level, we've got to come back to Wall Street. We've got to come back to Wall Street. We know that the pirates, and I call them on Wall Street, go crazy from time to time. They sell garbage investments, they get greedy, and it leads to a meltdown. After the Great Depression, our leaders then said, we can't let that spill over to our banks. We can't not let that break our insurance companies. This guy voted to deregulate the financial service industry in 2002 and 2004, took those walls down. The bill, or the law, was called Glass-Steagall. They repealed Glass-Steagall. We need to put Glass-Steagall back in place. We need to protect. We need to protect our banks and our insurance companies from Wall Street. The other thing we have to do is we do have to enact an Office of Consumer Protection. The president's calling for it. As a bankruptcy lawyer representing average Iowans, it's absolutely needed. The Federal Reserve doesn't look out for us. It looks out for the banks, and it looks out for Wall Street. So, recap, this is my teaching moment. Jobs for everybody, health care for everybody, ban financial piracy. 10 seconds about this race. This guy is going to have $14 to $15 million. Tom Harkin raised 7. Tom said, Chuck's going to have double that. Tom also told me, if I raise $3 million, I can compete. My goal, and I'm interviewing financial directors, is to raise $3 million. We've got a website. My son, who's the computer engineering student, makes fun of the website. It's on the card. Visit the website. Suggestions, welcome. It also has an email link if you're willing to volunteer. I also have volunteers scattered throughout here. Clara, the Bradleys, the Lopezes. See them. We have volunteer cards. If you're willing to help me become your next U.S. Senator, sign a volunteer card. If you're able to give a few bucks, we have Act Blue. We've also got envelopes here. I recognize this is a tough economy. People that I'm talking to that gave me $100 when I served in the state Senate can only give me $50. And I recognize we're in a tough economy. But if every Democrat gave me $15, if every Democrat in Iowa gave me $15, I could beat Chuck Grassley. Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.
Very good.
Thank you, Dennis.